January 3rd, 2026. Trump bypassed Congress, invaded Venezuela, and put Maduro in a Brooklyn cell. Sounds like foreign policy, right? Something happening far away, thousands of miles from your daily life? Here's the truth. What happens in Venezuela today can happen in America tomorrow. This video is about you, your country, your rights, your future. Because dictatorships always start abroad, but they never stay there. Think about it. If a president can ignore Congress to invade a country, what stops him from ignoring Congress on anything else? If he can call laws unconstitutional and break them, which law protects you? Today it's Caracas. Tomorrow it could be Chicago or Atlanta or wherever you live. Welcome to Powder Keg, and today we're asking the most important question. How does Trump's power play abroad change your life at home? Because spoiler alert, it already has. Let's start with numbers, because this isn't just a feeling, this is a measurable collapse. Brightline Watch, a democracy index created by surveying over 500 political scientists. In 2024, America's democracy score was 79 out of 100. Not perfect, but strong. February 2025, 67, a 12-point drop. January 2026, right now, 55. That's a 24-point drop, a 28% decline in just 14 months. The Century Foundation confirms the same numbers, 79 to 57. Two independent sources, same conclusion. American democracy is collapsing in real time. Harvard professor Steven Levitsky, New York Times columnist, one of the world's leading experts on authoritarianism, wrote this: "We are no longer living in a liberal democracy." And then there's Foreign Affairs, America's most prestigious foreign policy journal. Their January 2026 headline: "The United States ceased to be a full democracy. Competitive authoritarianism." Competitive authoritarianism? Is this how the American century ends? These aren't left-wing activists. These are academics, political scientists, institutions, and they're all seeing the same thing. Something is breaking. So how does the Venezuela invasion connect to this? Because Venezuela created a precedent, a playbook, a guide for how power can be used regardless of rules, Congress, or courts. Here's what Trump did in Venezuela. Waged war without Congress, violating Article 1 of the Constitution, ignored the War Powers Act and called it unconstitutional, dismissed the Senate's 52-47 vote telling him to stop, could have been stopped by court order, didn't care, and it worked. Maduro's in Brooklyn, Delcy Rodriguez is running a puppet government in Venezuela, Exxon and Chevron are moving into oil fields. Now here's the question. If this worked in Venezuela, what stops Trump from using the same logic inside America? Declare an emergency, call it national security, bypass Congress, ignore the courts, and just do it. This isn't theory, it's happening right now. The precedent isn't we can invade Venezuela. The precedent is the president can do whatever he wants if he frames it right. And that precedent applies everywhere, including here. Authoritarianism doesn't arrive overnight. It comes step by step, and each step is packaged to look normal. Here are the tactics used abroad, now being applied at home. Tactic 1. Create us versus them. In Venezuela, Maduro bad, Delcy good, even though they're from the same regime. The difference, one serves us. In America, immigrants, invaders, terrorists, poisoners, Trump's own words. The Nation calls it the four horsemen of authoritarian apocalypse: Trump, Miller, Bannon, Vance, Musk. The goal is always the same: create an external enemy, divide society, control through fear. Tactic 2. Ignore court orders. In Venezuela, no judicial authority consulted before action. In America, Democracy Docket, Mark Elias's legal network, is tracking this right now. Hundreds of lawsuits are active against administration actions, and the pattern is clear. When courts rule against the president, the rulings are ignored or slow-walked until they're irrelevant. Tactic 3. Attack the press. In Venezuela, state media promoted the invasion narrative. In America, the FCC is investigating news networks that criticize the administration. ABC settled a defamation case for $15 million rather than fight. Journalists are being threatened with investigations. When the press is afraid to report, democracy is already wounded. Tactic 4. Redefine legal terms. In Venezuela, this isn't war, it's law enforcement. In America, sending ICE agents into schools, churches, hospitals, places that were previously protected, are being called public safety operations. Renee Good, a 21-year-old American citizen, was killed by Border Patrol in Texas. The administration called it an unfortunate incident during enforcement activity. That's how it works. Change the language, change what's acceptable. November 2026, midterm elections, 7 months away. And there's a real question. Will they be free and fair? Democracy Docket is calling it Project 2026, a coordinated effort to rewrite election rules across multiple states. Mother Jones is documenting unprecedented gerrymandering pressure. Republican-controlled state legislatures are passing laws to restrict mail-in voting, limit early voting, and give partisan officials more control over vote counting. Secretaries of state, the people who run elections, are under pressure. Some have resigned. Others have received death threats for certifying 2020 results. Mark Elias, who's been fighting these battles in court, put it bluntly: Trump's only philosophy is accumulating power. Here's the Venezuela connection. If a president can ignore Congress on war, he can ignore election results he doesn't like. If he can call laws unconstitutional when they limit his power, he can call election laws unconstitutional too. The precedent is set, the infrastructure is being built, and the election is 7 months away. Think about that. Really think about it. What happens if Trump loses in 2026 and declares the results invalid? What happens if he wins by changing the rules beforehand? Either way, the 2026 elections are the test, and we already know this administration doesn't respect tests it hasn't rigged. Let's make this concrete. How does this affect your actual life? Gas prices. Venezuela produces oil. When markets are uncertain, when invasions happen, risk premiums go up. You pay more at the pump, not because of supply and demand, because of fear. Taxes. The Venezuela operation cost billions. Who pays for that? You do. The $183 billion question isn't just where did the money go, it's who's paying it back. Military families. American soldiers were deployed to Venezuela. Some came home injured, some didn't come home at all. Is your child next? Is Colombia next? Cuba? Iran? Where does it stop? Immigration enforcement. ICE raids have intensified. Renee Good was 21 years old, American citizen, killed by Border Patrol in Texas. The administration called it collateral damage. When enforcement has no rules, everyone is at risk. Press freedom. Are you a journalist, a blogger, someone with a large social media following who criticizes the government? The FCC is watching. ABC settled for $15 million. The message is clear. Criticism is expensive. This isn't happening somewhere else. It's happening in your country, to people like you. Foreign Affairs called America a competitive authoritarian state. What does that mean? It means elections still happen, but the playing field isn't level. Courts still exist, but they're packed with loyalists. Media still operates, but under pressure and self-censorship. Opposition still exists, but it's labeled enemies of the people. It's not North Korea, it's not China, it's something in between democracy and dictatorship. Think Hungary under Viktor Orban, Turkey under Erdogan, Russia under Putin in the early 2000s before it became full authoritarianism. Elections happen, but the guy in power has massive advantages: control of state media, ability to use government resources for campaigning, friendly courts that rule in his favor, and the power to investigate or prosecute opponents. You can still vote, but your vote might not matter as much as it used to. That's competitive authoritarianism. And the question Foreign Affairs is asking, the question scholars are asking, is America on this path? The evidence suggests yes, and Venezuela is part of that evidence. Because when you normalize the president ignoring Congress abroad, you normalize him ignoring Congress at home. When you accept rule-breaking overseas, you accept it everywhere. The line is gone. Here's the pattern throughout history. When you remove guardrails abroad, the ones at home weaken too. Rome started with defensive wars, then preemptive wars, then conquest, then dictatorship at home. Britain conquered half the world, then used those same tactics to suppress dissent in England. The Soviet Union crushed Eastern Europe, then crushed its own people. America is not immune to this pattern. In fact, we've seen it before. Post 9/11, we invaded Afghanistan and Iraq. We said it was about security. Then we got the Patriot Act, warrantless surveillance, and Guantanamo Bay, all aimed at American rights. The war on terror abroad became a surveillance state at home. Now we have the war on cartels, the war on Maduro, the war on whoever's next, and every war abroad expands executive power at home. Senator Tim Kaine said it perfectly. We cannot allow democracy to devolve into the tyranny the founders fought to escape. That's not hyperbole, that's a warning. When the president doesn't need permission to wage war abroad, he doesn't need permission for anything at home either. The guardrails are off, and history shows us what comes next. So where do we go from here? There are two paths ahead, and we're choosing right now, whether we realize it or not. Path 1. Normalization. We accept this. We say, Venezuela deserved it, and move on. And the next time the president bypasses Congress, we accept that too, and the time after that, until one day we wake up and realize we don't live in a democracy anymore. We live in a competitive authoritarian state, where elections happen, but power never really changes hands. Path 2. Resistance. We say no. We demand accountability. We support the senators who stood up, Paul, Collins, Murkowski. We pressure the ones who flipped, Hawley, Young, and we vote in 2026 like democracy depends on it, because it does. The Venezuelan people are watching us right now. They're asking, will Americans defend their own democracy better than we could defend ours? That's the question of our time. Today it's Caracas. Tomorrow it's here. The precedent is set. The path is clear. Your country, your rights, your future. What are you gonna do about it?